Hello and welcome. You've just taken your digital sleeping pill. No chemicals, no tablets. Just my voice, your mind, and the natural rhythm of sleep. For this to work, you need to do one thing. Let go. Let go of today. Let go of tomorrow. Let go of everything except the sound of this voice. If a thought tries to sneak in, that's fine. Notice it. Say quietly to yourself, "It's okay." And then bring your attention back here to my words. Just like meditation, drifting away is part of the process. Every time you return, you're one step closer to sleep. At some point, without even noticing, you'll already be gone. Breathing slow, body heavy, mind quiet, dreams arriving. And tomorrow when you wake up, I want you to write one simple word in the comments. Sleep. Let me know this pill worked for you. Now get comfortable. Close your eyes, breathe out, and let's begin. Chinvat, the bridge between worlds. They say everything begins when a human becomes silent. When the last breath slowly leaves the body, like a warm bird letting go of the branch. When the room around you becomes vast, yet near, and the world that was so heavy suddenly feels light as a leaf in the wind. So it begins. You see your own face lying still, not frightening, not foreign, just still. The words around you turn into murmuring strings, first muffled, then distant, as if someone were closing a door made of clouds. Then you remember what you once heard. The soul lingers for 3 nights near the place where the body was left. 3 nights to listen backward from the edge. 3 nights to let everything end that can end, and to begin to see what cannot. The first night is filled with what you loved most. The smell of bread breaking, fingers that enclosed your own, a laugh from a kitchen where someone with flour-dusted hands brushed a strand of hair from your brow. It is a night of light that does not blind. You move through the rooms of memory as through dawn. Everything seems possible to thank. Everything seems possible to release. The second night is filled with what you avoided, the conversations you never dared to have, the name to whom you should have asked forgiveness, the loneliness you dressed in hard work, the wealth you fell asleep upon, though it could never fill the emptiness that demanded another kind of bread. You see all of it, not accused but not denied either. It lies there like stones that could have been roads. The third night is quieter, almost no image, almost no sound, only a palpable gentle pressure across your chest, where whispers from another side make their way forward. Come. Then, for the first time, you feel the draft from the dawn of the 4th day, when the judgment happens, the morning when every human walks toward the bridge. You rise as from a shallow lake. The ground beneath you is no longer heavy clay, but a firm, shining plain, as if someone had placed a mirror atop the world. The sky is clean as freshly washed linen. Far ahead, you sense a line that crosses heaven and abyss, something thin as a string or wide as a road. It is hard to tell from a distance. It shifts, as if the road itself chooses how it will appear. Chinvat, says something beside you. You turn, but no one stands there. The voice is warm and still, certain as a heartbeat. Chinvat, the voice repeats. The bridge where worlds are measured and weighed. The path between the good existence and the worst. The place where every thought, Every word and every deed finds its true weight. Who is speaking, you ask? You will soon understand, the voice answers. But first you shall walk a while in your own company. You walk. Your steps make no sound. Along the path grow low plants with leaves that glimmer at the edges like silver. From time to time a bird lifts, but its wings do not move the air. It is as if everything here is sustained by an order that does not struggle to be order. As if everything is right where it is. No obstacles, but no accident either. Only a gentle resolve. As you come nearer, you see that the bridge is not a single form. It spans a deep, almost bottomless ravine where darkness moves like slow clouds. The bridge seems to breathe, sometimes broad as a king's road laid with smooth stone, sometimes narrow as a razor's edge, drawn of light straight across the mouth of night. You also see something more. People, few and silent. They move forward on different widths of the bridge. Some walk hand in hand, with figures so beautiful that the air around them grows brighter. Others stagger alone along a line thin as a hair, with something dark at their feet that weighs them down like shackles. It is then that she steps forward. You notice her first as a scent, cleanliness and sweetness, like sandalwood and herbs after rain. She wears a simple garment, but it falls like water, and her eyes carry the same quiet resolve as the air. When she speaks, her lips do not move. It is a language you recognize, though you never learned it. I am your Daēnā, she says. Your image, the form you shaped of yourself in thoughts, words, and deeds. You try to remember if you have heard her name. Yes, someone once said that what you are most inwardly becomes a companion at the bridge. That what you have done to others meets you here, not as a list, but as a person. How shall I know you are mine, you ask, not suspiciously, more as a careful question to someone you want to understand. She almost smiles. Already when you saw me, you felt yourself seen. Already when you stood still, you felt someone standing still with you. This is the sign. I am what you kept company with in life. The pattern you wove, with the thread of ordinary days. You stand silent for a while. Are you here to judge me? You say at last. No, she answers. The judgment happens up ahead, and it is not arbitrary. It is a weighing place. I am here to walk with you to it. You walk together. The bridge is not yet yours, but it waits. You pass a man walking at an even pace beside a figure who carries a light in their hands. The man meets your eyes and nods briefly. Soon after you pass a woman losing her footing. She reaches for something, but all she finds is a shadow that drags her back toward the abyss. You turn slightly to your Daēnā. Her Daēnā, you ask? Each human receives the figure she has earned the right to bring forth, she answers softly. Sometimes it becomes a greatness that can carry two. Sometimes it becomes a burden that must be carried alone. She does not fall because the bridge wishes to throw her down. She falls because the weight she manufactured insists upon its direction. You walk on. There is relief in the fact that no one raises a voice, that nothing threatens or entices, only this factual brightness. After a while you reach a forecourt, a square of pale stone just before the bridge's anchoring. 3 figures stand there. The first is tall and upright, with a scale sculpted in the air before him. The pens hover, rising and sinking with a calm, impersonal measure. The second wears a crown of mild radiance, as if the sunrise had laid a ring upon his brow. The third stands nearest the bridge, his ear turned, as if he listens to everything that has ever been said. Your Daēnā stops and bows her head slightly. Rashnu, she says of the first, the weigher of truth and justice. Mithra, she says of the second, covenant, guardian of oaths. And Spheriá, she says of the third, listening, vigilance, protection. She turns gently to you. They have already seen you from afar, as still water recognizes a passing wind. Spheriá makes a barely visible gesture, and the silence grows stiller, as if a transparent bell were lowered over the place. Welcome, he says. The voice is not soft, not harsh. It simply is. We do not ask for your words. We listen to what your words have already done. Mithra speaks without looking at you. He looks into something behind you, as if the world you left were arranged within his gaze. What you promised, he says, around tables, in the dark, to yourself. Here it is measured not in syllables, but in bonds kept or broken. Rashnu raises a hand. The pans tremble slightly, as if they remember what it is to weigh gold. Truth bears itself. Falsehood must always be borne. You will feel the difference in your body, for your whole being shall be laid on the scale. No one asks whether you are ready. The question would be meaningless. No one is ready, and everyone is. You feel something leave you. Not yourself, but habits, times, evenings, words, glances, pebbles and larger stones. That yes you spoke, though you meant no. That no you did not dare when everyone else said yes. One pan sinks, the other rises. You feel no shame in it, for there is no audience here. Only an exactness like a pure tone. In the middle of this weighing, Mithra, still without turning his gaze, lifts one finger. There, he says, and something, you do not know what, breaks and becomes whole again. Spheriá nods, as if he has heard a word finally pronounced rightly. Rashnu's scale finds its ground. It is finished, Spheriá says. Only the way remains. You look to your Daēnā. She looks back without adding anything. Come, she says. You already know how wide the bridge will be. Do I? You ask. You have known it in every choice, she answers quietly. But then, the world's headphones were loud. Now they are off. You step onto the bridge. At first it is broad. Or perhaps it is only the beginning that lets it offer height without vertigo. Then the abyss opens on both sides. Not as a threat, but as something that is not yours. Far below, the darkness moves. Not black, more like deep blue, living shade. You think the darkness down there is not evil. Evil is lack of direction, lack of responsibility. Darkness itself, like night or rest, is something else. You have time to think this even as you feel the bridge beneath your feet change, almost imperceptibly. It narrows. You stop. Your Daēnā stops with you, saying nothing. You look down at your feet. Now they rest on something like a well-tuned string. Not quite a razor's edge, but thin as a leaf blade. You feel your knees wanting to shake. You raise a hand to the air to find a wall that is not there. It was here, you say at last. It was here I usually gave way. Yes, she says. It was here you called after something that would carry you without your carrying it. What should I do? You ask. I am afraid. Be afraid, she says. But walk. It sounds brutal. Yet you hear in the words something that does not press but steadies. You take a step. The narrow string holds. You take another, but then the bridge narrows further and you know why. You see what rises from the air at your feet. A shadow that immediately fastens around your ankle like a cold ring. I know what you are, you say, surprised at the courage in your voice. You are the word I never made true. The shadow does not answer, but it shifts, a liquid that wishes to be metal. Your Daēnā does not bend down. She does not zoom into your struggle. She stands as before, a still bearing, as if she were waiting you in. Everything that binds must be unbound in the same direction it was tied, she says. Not by force, but by returning. Returning? Yes, she answers. Not to the past, but to the person you are. Speak the word again. Not aloud, but true. You look down at the dark ring. You think of the name you should have called again and again, but didn't. Of the hand you should have held, but let go. You breathe, and you say, so simply you barely hear it, forgive me. The ring thins. You breathe again. Thank you. The ring changes color. I will carry my share. The ring splits and slips from your ankle down into the darkness where it is no longer yours. The bridge widens a little. You walk. So it goes on. Narrower, wider, harder, easier. Each time you remember something. Sometimes a great thing. Sometimes small. A barbed remark you could have left unsaid. A time you spoke for those who could not speak. A holy word you kept without understanding, and yet that carried others. Each time the bridge changes. You begin to see a pattern. It is not reward and punishment that make the bridge a road or a wire. It is the resonance between what you chose and what the way is made of. The bridge is built of the same material as your choices. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. When you walk in step with them, the way becomes way. When you walk against them, the way becomes edge. Not because someone wishes to punish you, but because reality here is simple. Is that why you say the world is created in order? You ask. Yes, your Daēnā says. Asha, direction, truth, order. Not as compulsion, but as the law of music. You can crash against it, or you can play the overtones that carry far. After a while, you cannot tell how long, for time here is not measured in clocks. You see something like a gate. Not a gate that closes, but one that opens. Two pillars of gentle light. And beyond them, a widening in the air, where the colors are more than in the world you remember. The scent is clean but rich. You notice your lungs wanting to be larger. Is that? You begin. It is the best existence, she says, without triumph, only as a fact. May I go in? If the bridge bears you this far, she says, it carries you over the threshold. You go closer, then you hear something behind you, a cry, broken, heavy. You turn, far back, on a thread thin as a hairpin, you see a figure struggling. What drags at him is no longer a ring, but an entire net. You feel your body reach backward, your hands wanting to call out to him to stop, to say the word that could tear the mesh. Your Daēnā notices your movement. You cannot carry him here, she says gently, but you can let your will stretch like a bridge. How? By wishing him true good here and now, not a smoothing over relief, but the good that bears. Every will directed toward the good is magnified here. You close your eyes. You say nothing aloud, but within you moves a language older than speech, It is not craving, but not empty wishing either. It is a direction. You hold it, not like a clenched muscle, but like a melody. After a while, you open your eyes. The figure far off does not fall, but you do not know if he rises. You know only that something grew lighter, because you bore it. That is enough, she says. Come. You step across the threshold. The sounds or the lack of them change. It is not music, yet it is music. Not wind, yet wind. You see people walking there, not as shadows of who they were, but standing, living, relieved. You see faces bearing the joy of recognition like a mild glow. You came too, not as a vent for ownership, but as the release from needing to own. Is this the end? You ask. It is a rest, she says. But reality has deeper depths. Here you rest in what you made true. Here what you did not have time to make true is also known, as if sitting still letting water clear. But everything takes its time, and time here is another word. May I ask something? You say. Ask. What of those who do not reach this place? Those who fall? Those weighed down by the net they themselves have knotted? She nods slowly. They do not fall into an eternal flame that delights anyone. They fall into themselves, into the room where their own making becomes the entire wall. That room is dark because they themselves extinguish the lamp. But listen, the way into it is not the end. Nets can be torn. Knives can turn to needles. Tears can become the water that loosens knots. Everything that is true is with us. And in the end, farther than we can count, there is a cleansing that touches all. Cleansing? Yes, she says, and for the first time, something flashes in her eyes that you sense more than see, a memory of the future. One day the world itself will pass through a river of molten metal, not to burn, but to purify. For those who lived in truth, it will feel like walking in warm milk. For those who leaned upon lies, it will feel hard, but it will also be the way out of their prison. Nothing that is true will be lost. Nothing made of emptiness will have the last word. You grow still. There is a rest in hearing such a sentence, not because it consoles cheaply, but because it makes the world whole at last. Who are you really? You ask. You say you are my Daēnā, but when you speak of the river and the end, you sound as if you carry more than my steps. She nods. I am your Daēnā, she says, and at the same time, I bear traces of what resonates in all good. Vohumana, the good mind that once took the prophet by the hand. Asha, the order. Spenta Armaiti, the earth of humility. But here I am yours, so that you may understand that nothing universal becomes real until it passes through the particular. May I ask one last question? You may always ask one more. Was I good? You ask, hearing how childish and how endlessly human the word sounds. She looks at you for a long time, soon without looking, as if she were lifting you to the light to find the exact tone. You were human, she says, so gently you can hardly bear it. You did many small good things, and some large ones. You also did things that drew the way to a thread, but you turned. You spoke words with truth in them. You carried burdens no one saw. You believed in the light even on days when it existed only as a direction without a map. And just now you asked, without asking for a receipt, that someone else find footing. Do not ask whether you were good. Ask whether the world became more possible for others because of your life. The answer to that question weighs heavily here. Something in you breaks again, but this time it does not break apart. It breaks open. You sit without knowing how. Here one sits in the air as upon a soft lawn, and you feel the stillness around you also inside you. Time passes, or does not. No one counts anymore. After a while you rise. Your Daēnā goes with you. You pass places where people learn the language of stillness and others where they sing without tongues growing tired. You see a circle where some sit together with hands laid in each other's palms. Not a chain that binds, but a ring that bears. You hear words that no longer need translation. Why do you show me this? You ask. So that you will understand, she says, that the rest here is not a pension, but a ripening. The human is called to participate in the order, to make the world lighter, clearer, truer. Here one learns this, with deeper calm. May one then go back? You ask suddenly, surprised by your own question. She nearly smiles. Some stories say that one who has rested long enough and who has learned the secret of rest indeed may go as a sent wisdom into worlds where humans still struggle, not to be worshipped, but to kindle fires that warm. But such things are not decided by one's own will. They coincide when time and truth will the same. You think of the world you left, of kitchens and children's rooms, of stairwells and wards, of a footbridge over a busy road, where you used to stand and wait without meeting anyone's eyes. You think of screens that sing and hearts that fall silent. You think of a friend who said something true but was ashamed of it, and of yourself who smiled and changed the subject. You think of a child who asked, "Does the dog sleep?" And you answered, "Sometimes." "I want them to understand." You whisper. "I know," she answers. "Therefore your will now goes out like a fine thread and fastens at places where it can grow into action." "Is that prayer?" you ask. "It is prayer," she says. "And in our teaching, prayer is not a demand that the world change for your comfort, but a participation in the work of order. You are allowed to take part. You reach a height where the ground is pure as a tone. You understand that here this walk pauses, not ends, only a quiet point before the circles widen again. Your Daēnā stops in front of you. You notice that her face is both your own and not your own, as if she had gathered everything you could become and everything you still can become, and borne it without burning it up. "We do not part," she says, "for where would we part to? I am what you make of you. Here you become more you, and so I become more I. But soon you will no longer need me in this form, for you will recognize me in everything, in the right gesture, in the gentle word, in refusing to deny the light when it costs." "May I say something before we stop?" you ask. "Yes." You draw in air that does not need lungs, and you say, with a simplicity that asks everything, "If there is someone back there, someone who right now walks on a thread and feels a cold ring closing around the foot, let my words reach them, not to free them for my sake, but that they may discover the way holds. Let them remember that the word forgive is not for the weak, but for the brave. Let them remember that thank you is a key that opens rooms where nothing could be breathed before. Let them remember that I will carry my share is not shame, but dignity. Let them remember they are not alone, that something listens, something weighs justly, something keeps covenant, and that their own Daēnā waits to be brought forth. When you have said this, nothing dramatic happens. No bolt splits the sky. But you know, in the softest part of you, you know that the way just now became a little wider for someone. That was good, she says. So speaks one who has understood that all living things are bound together. You sit again. Far off you can still sense the bridge, and farther still, where the darkness moves, you know there are ways out even there, that every prisoner carries a trembling of a key in the hand, that every lie burns up if you hold it long enough in the truth, that every quiet prayer, the kind without a receipt, without an audience, makes the way a needle width less narrow for someone else. It is not over, you say, more to yourself than to her. No, she says, and that is good. What shall I do now? You shall rest, she says, and when the rest has reached bottom you shall stand, and when you stand you shall work, not as compulsion, but as answer. For all true work is answer to a calling that began long before your birth and continues beyond death. You walk in that calling now, but without weight. Will I remember all this if I ever go back? You ask, with a note of worry that surprises you. You will remember enough, she answers. Not as images you can lecture about, but as a weather in the heart, a sense for when the bridge narrows, and why, an instinct to speak the words that open, a habit of thanking before you become big, and asking forgiveness before you become hard. She does not stroke your cheek. She does not lay a hand on your shoulder. Nothing needs to be amplified here. Everything is already true enough to carry, and yet you feel the touch, like an insight settling warm across your chest. Where you sit now, you can see 3 directions. One leads deeper into the good existence, toward gardens and clear springs where people learn the music of order. The second leads as a fine, almost invisible path back toward the world. The third is neither inward nor downward, but upward, toward a light that does not dazzle but opens. You know it is the way toward the future cleansing, the one you are not yet called to, but which already calls everything. That is enough, you say at last, and you notice how strangely those words taste in your mouth, not like giving up, but like giving truth. Its due. Yes, she says, it is enough for this time. You close your eyes. When you open them, the sky is the same. The bridge remains, like a string across an abyss that no longer frightens. You know that if you were to turn now and walk all the way back, you would see everything you have seen, and more. But you do not need to. You carry it with you. It is already in your steps. Come, your Daēnā says. Let us walk a little more, not to hurry, but to be. You walk. There are no applauses. There is no judge luxuriating in his power. There is only order, and that order is merciful because it is true. Here you know what every human senses when standing before a hard choice, that the world is not neutral toward goodness, that every true word, every clean thought, every deed that makes the world more possible for others carries farther than the one who uttered or performed it. Chinvat, the bridge of judgment, proved not to be a shabby test, but a revelation. That reality, at its root, wants us to become what we call good. Not to fit in, but to become real. Not to score points, but to take part in the order that bears stars and kitchens, laughter and silences, promises and the hard work of keeping them, One day, far later or already now, all roads will meet in the cleansing river. On that day, no one will hide from the light, for it will not burn like shame, but shine like understanding. On that day, the bridge will no longer be needed. Not because people have stopped walking, but because all that was sundered has found its tone within the same song. Until then, we walk. And as we walk, we remember that the bridge grows as wide as our good thoughts, good words, good deeds make it. That each time we say, "Forgive me," we widen an edge, if only by the width of a needle, and that someone one day will find precisely that needle's width and not fall. That each "thank you" lights a lantern a little farther ahead for someone we will never meet. That each "I will carry my share" lays a plank upon a bridge across a dark abyss that no longer frightens anyone, because no one needs to cross it alone. This is Chinvat, and this is your way. There is one more part in this digital sleeping pill. If you're still here and awake, well then it's time for the strong stuff. I understand if you're not into meditation, but this type of meditation is very good for someone that can't fall asleep. My mission is for you to have a really good night's rest, and for that mission to succeed, you need to help me help you. Just listen to the voice and follow the instructions, and you will be sleeping in no time. Remember, turn off the autoplay button on YouTube. You don't want YouTube to keep hopping onto new videos all night. It will ruin your sleep. It's important that you let your brain rest. Lie down. Let the surface under you carry your weight. If you prefer to sit, that's fine. Lying down is ideal. Unclench the jaw. Let the eyes rest behind the lids. Place the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Breathe through the nose, low in the belly. Nothing to fix. If a thought appears, leave it where it is. Begin again. Count only the exhalations from 1 to 10. If you lose the count, begin again at 1. Use the pauses as true silence. Cycle 1. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Begin again. Cycle 2. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Either providence or atoms, your rest is the same. Cycle 3. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Begin again. Cycle 4. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. What is this really? Only an exhale. Cycle 5. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Begin again. Cycle 6. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Do the next right thing. Sleep is the work now. Cycle 7. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. Begin again. Cycle 8. Exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. Exhale 4. Exhale 5. Exhale 6. Exhale 7. Exhale 8. Exhale 9. Exhale 10. We are made for each other. Your rest helps the whole. Drop the numbers. Let breathing breathe itself. If a thought arrives, let it pass like a cloud that doesn't need a name. If a sensation speaks, call it by one word: shoulder, jaw, belly, then let it be. Notice the whole body at once. Begin again from the next exhale if you wish. Cooled the breath. Cool the thought. Cool the feeling. Begin again. Either providence or atoms. nothing to carry. Nothing to fix. Only this breath. Begin again. If you wake later in the night, return to exhale 1 to 10 and begin again.